Shalom. I just want to talk about the land of Shem. What's so special about the land of Shem? Why is it Kadash, and what's all in it? And why the Father, his eyes is always on this land. There must be something special about this land. So let's go into the scripture, and I'm gonna show you in Jubilees chapter 8, and I'm going to read verse 11 through 21, and we're going to see why this land is so special, and his eyes is always upon this land, whether man understand the importance of this land or not. So let's see. This is Jubilees 8, and starting at the 11th verse. And he called his sons. This is Noah here. Is talking about. He called his sons, and they draw near to him, and they and their children, they divided the earth into lots, which his sons were to take possession. And they reached forth their hands and took the writings out of the bosom of Noah their father. And there came forth on the writing of Shem's lot the middle of the earth. So right here we're seeing that Shem's lot is the middle of the earth, which he should take as an inheritance for himself and his sons for the generations of eternity. Now again, in my previous videos I showed you how this covenant that was made between them, and this land this was it was for them and their generation, their children throughout eternity. And for the middle of the range, the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the river of the water of the river Tina, and his portion goes toward the west through the midst of the river, and it extends until it reaches the water of the abyss, out of which this river goes forth and pours into the water of the sea, Ma'at, and this river flows into the great sea, and all that is toward the north is Japheth, and all that's toward the south belongs to Shem. And it extends till it reaches Carousel. This is the bosom of the tongue which looks toward the south. And his portion extends along the great sea, and it extends in a straight line till it reaches the west of the tongue which looks towards the south. For this sea is named the tongue of the Egyptian sea. And it turns from here towards the south, the middle of the great sea on the shore and its waters, and it extends to far west, and extends until it reaches the water of the river Gihon, and to the south of the water of Gihon to the banks and this river. And it extends toward the east till it reaches the Garden of Eden. So we understand now right here, this land reaches the Garden of Eden. To the south thereof, to the south from the east, in the whole land of Eden. So we're talking the Garden of Eden here. And of the whole east, it turns to the east and proceeds till it reaches the east of the mountain named Rapha, and it extends to the bank of the mouth of the river Tina. This portion came forth by lot for Shem and his sons, that they should possess it forever, and unto his generations forevermore. So we're talking for eternity here. This is something that, again, we don't understand what happened back then. This was lost, but it's for his generation, for his seed forever. It's forevermore. Verse 18, and Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and for his sons, for he remembered that when he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy, and he had said, Barak be Yahuah Elohim of Shem, and may Yahuah dwell in the dwellings of Shem. So we see uh, Noah prayed for Shem, and he said, Barak be Yahuah Elohim of Shem. And here we see Yahuah's dwelling is in the dwellings of Shem. Now, who would not want to be in a land where Yahuah's dwelling is? It's something to think about. Verse 19, and he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Kadash of Kadash, and the dwelling of Yahuah, and Mount Sinai, the center of the desert. So we see here Mount Sinai is the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. So this land is the center of the earth, and Mount Zion is the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as Kadash places facing each other. And all three of these places, again, we see right here, they face each other. And he Barak, the Elohim of mighty ones, who had put the word of Yahuah in his mouth, in Yahuah forevermore. Verse 21. And he knew that he had a Barak portion, and a Baraka had come to Shem and to his sons unto the generation forever. Here we go again with to him and his generation forever. The whole land of Eden, and the whole land of the Red Sea, and the whole land of the east of India, and on the Red Sea and the mountains thereof, and all the land of Bashan. I'm going to go into Bashan later on, but you should zero in on Bashan. In all the land of Lebanon, and the islands of Kaftu, and all the mountains of Senir, and Amana, and the mountains of Ashur in the north, and all the land of Elam, Ashur, and Babal, and Susan, and Madia, and all the mountains of Ararat, and all the region beyond the sea, which is beyond the mountains of Ashur toward the north, a Barak and spacious land, and all that is in it was very good. You hear that? And all that's in this land is very good. Now, this is the reason when Canaan came across this land, he was supposed to keep going. He stopped, and that's where he dwelt. He couldn't pass up this land. He knew it was good. He was like, he'd never seen anything like this before. And anyone that been through this region, you will understand this is something very, very special about this landmass that, again, not many understand, because we don't take the time to dig into why is this land is so important. And I'm going to give you a couple scriptures here. Ezekiel 20:6. In that day that I lift up my hand unto them to bring them forth to the land of Egypt, the land that I have espied for them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the splendor of all lands. So we see here again scripture telling us it's the splendor of all lands. There's not another land on earth that's like this land, and his eyes is always upon this land. And this is Wisdom of Solomon 12 verse 7, that the land which you esteemest above all others. So here we see Yahuah. This is the land, and I'm saying this because I'm in this land that I'm talking about. It says, this land which is esteemed above all others might receive a worthy colony of Elohim's children. So again, this was to Shem's descendant, and many of us, Shem's descendant is, don't get me wrong, Shem's descendant is many upon earth because of Abraham. Abraham is the father of many nations. And so a lot of people don't understand, you got people fighting against each other when really all is related. We came from brothers. Everybody that's populated throughout the earth came from brothers. We're all distant related. But again, those that came from Shem is many because of Abraham. And Abraham's the father of many nations. And if you look through all the different the nations of people that came through Abraham. It's what it says. It's many. Even after the death of Sarah, he had more children, and those children, they went on, and they also mixed with. They were the Medians, and they mixed with Ishmael, which is his oldest. And again, Ishmael is still in this land, and Ishmael is he's all over this land. But this just something to um, look deeper into this land. Knowing what this land, his eyes on it, knowing the history of this land, and what's so special in Kadash about this land, and what makes it more special out of any land upon the earth. It may want you to. I want to see this place, and I want to. Your heart desire it should be to come and see it for yourself. But it is, as Scripture says, the most Kadash land upon all the earth. And you know, again, look into go into this information, and you will see for yourself that again, this landmass is like any other that's on the earth. Shalom.